Hey there, guys. Welcome to another episode of Executive Espresso. I hope you have something tasty to drink. This is actually surprisingly unusually my first cup of coffee for the day, but don't you worry, I'll get caught up. Here lately, there seems to have been a bit of a kerfuffle, a bit of a problem, actually, maybe for a long time, for fathers in the lives of their children. And so I've been focusing on that a little bit, and we have the best guy for the job here today. Dustin the Dad is going to share with us how to overcome some of the biggest hurdles that fathers have, how to master the balance between business and fatherhood, and what's the best starting point for dads that really want to level up their engagement in the lives of their children. And so, hey there, Dustin. Thank you for being here today. It's good to see you. So, how'd you get started in this whole Dustin the Dad thing?
Good morning, Dr. Heath. So I'm on my second cup of coffee, so I'm ready to go.
You're ahead. You're ahead of the game.
So we run a podcast, the Present Fathers podcast, and there are four of us. It's a panel. We started probably the first 10 episodes. It was just the four of us conversing, and we realized that the show is better with guests because we can talk to experts in the field who can help us level up our game as dads. So we're almost to episode 100. We've been doing this for about 2 years, and it's a game changer. I've learned from some of the smartest, some of the most dedicated fathers on the planet. And so it's a cheat code. It's just absolutely incredible. What I really like about it is I can ask the same question of different men who have different ideas. And when you get similar answers, that's a really good indicator that that's a really key piece of wisdom. And then other things are kind of all over the place, and that's probably not as important. That's more of an individual style thing. So that's been a really good learning experience for me, is having these conversations. And then the feedback we've gotten, from fellow fathers is the wisdom, the conversations have just been really valuable. So it's a lot of fun, and it's a great opportunity for me to level up my dad game. I have a 4-year-old, and we have a little girl on the way. My wife is 5 months pregnant, so I'm going to be a girl dad.
Wow.
So yeah, getting excited about that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What are some of the biggest hurdles for yourself and for other fathers that you run into?
The biggest challenge that I have is being present. And so my wife has a funny saying. She says, the name of your podcast is the Present Fathers Podcast. Don't make the title ironic. The challenge I have is I've recently learned I love social media. I've met friends like yourself. I like to keep up with. I like to have these conversations. And that ding, that constant dopamine hit of your friend wants to talk to you, it feels urgent, even though it's not. Right. So that phone in my pocket sometimes gets the attention that it doesn't deserve, that my son needs. And it's amazing when he's, as a 4-year-old, I can see the disappointment and the confusion on his face when I'm not present with him. And he doesn't know why yet. I know why. Right. It's because we're having this great conversation. We're building a puzzle together for 10 minutes. I hear a ding. I take a quick, it's 5 seconds, right? No big deal. And then I look back and the moment is gone. It's much harder to get back into the moment than it is to break the moment, essentially. So
It really is. And I think that we're sending our kids a message when we're with them, but then we're otherwise focused. So I find that there's different levels of absenteeism in fatherhood. And you just bring up a really, really great one, and that's that moment-to-moment absenteeism, which really communicates to them that they are less than the dinging on the phone or a buddy or even some type of little work project around the house. So what does present mean? I mean, how would you define being present as a father?
present means focused, engaged, listening, and actively playing. So it's not right. So if I'm with my son and I'm brushing my teeth and checking a tweet and all these other things are happening, I'm not present with him. I'm there physically, but I'm not there mentally. So I firmly believe that for busy dads who don't have much time, if you can spend 2 incredibly present, valuable hours with your son or your daughter, and that's usually going to be outside, right? That for me is the easiest way. If I'm outside in the sun, there's no phones, there's no chores to do. I'm just out there exploring and enjoying. That to me is my magical moments with my son, is being outside exploring. It's so easy to be present when you're outside.
Well, now you do make that sound really, really easy, but I kind of get the sense that maybe there's some fathers in the background saying, "Man, Dustin, what are you talking about? Leave my phone in the house." So how do you do that? Because I find that the cell phone becomes like an extra appendage for most people, and they never leave it behind. So how do you tackle that one?
That's tough. So I'm on call 2 days a week on the weekend. So I can't leave my phone. I have to have it available with me. So those are times that I do my best to anything that's not work related, that's absolutely essential, is going away. Right. So if something like that happens, I have no choice. That's work. That's how we put food on the table. But otherwise, I have the phone either off or in airplane mode or some way that I don't have the temptation to respond to those outlets. It's like any kind of challenge, whether it's alcohol or whether it's too much coffee, right? Some of us are a little bit addicted to caffeine, whatever that might be. If I have the knowledge that I can go feed that addiction, then there's a chance I might do it. But if it's off and not available, then I can fix that. And ultimately, you have the entire world of knowledge and people who at any point you can tap into, right? And that's very addictive to know that you can have that. And so is a 4-year-old less interesting than all the world's knowledge? Sometimes he is, right? And you have to recognize that's a fair, don't beat yourself up about it, right? Recognize that that's a normal thing for us as dads to have, but also recognize that it's a problem. And that, if you want your kid to have low self-esteem, teach him that he's less important than a 4-inch tall, device.
Wow.
So,
Yeah, that's amazing. I think it's really an issue with dads to properly assign value. And I'll just say to you, a kid is with a guy with a 4-year-old. So that 4-year-old in about, let me count it up, about 3 months, that 4-year-old in about 3 months is going to be 19 years old.
That sounds right. Yep.
I kid you not. That's what it was with me. I mean, I had my son, and things are perking along just fine, and I'm his hero, and he's my best buddy, and we're doing things together. And then I turn around, and here's this young man that's got better things to do. So the properly valuing childhood is to realize how fleeting childhood really is, and you have about that long, to make this big a difference in that child's life. And I think one of the worst things I've experienced as a dad is regret. I mean, regret is really its own type of hell, where even though I think I did a good job overall, there's still things I could have done better. And so I like to remind myself, like you point out, don't miss this moment. This moment's never coming again. What's the old saying? You can never step in the same river twice, And so don't miss this moment. And so many dads miss the moment, which brings me to my next question. So you're a busy guy. By the way, I have it on good authority, Dustin, that you're an anal physiologist. And nothing, no judgment, whatever, you and the anuses do is up to you. But yeah, so I heard that you got called an anal physiologist. So that's probably not
I'm really the butt of that joke, aren't I? I love my patients. That was a great one. Yeah, I came in and he was having a prostate biopsy. So his wife said, yeah, I heard you're the anal physiologist. So I haven't.
There you go, man.
That's really good. Yeah.
Everybody's got to have a hobby. But so you're a busy guy, and most dads are busy guys. But I think I got it confused that my main job was bringing home the bacon, and a lot of guys have that confused. So how do you balance out the business of business and the business of fathering?
It's all about priorities, and your main job as a father is not to bring home the bacon. Your main job is to be a father. And it's very easy to forget that, because if I spend time with my son, what happens to my bank account? Nothing, right? Whereas if I pick up an extra shift at work, I have extra money. It's a video game, right? I've leveled up my bank account. And so the immediate rewards of working extra and not being present are greater. So it requires long-term thinking and prioritizing and recognizing how important it is in the long term to spend that time. And that's a really tough thing as guys, right? Because we have all of these demands on our time. We're in a position where we can do so many different things, and doing the long-term thing is usually harder than doing the thing that gives you short-term rewards. So think about the long term, think about the potential regrets, and remember that it's wonderful. Every night I come home, my son runs to me, says "Daddy," and says, "It's so good to see you." You're exactly right.
Oh,
I'm not going to get that when he's 20. If he's
that's
jumping on me
right.
when he's
That's
20, I'm going
right.
to fall over.
Yeah. And by the way, Waylon the farmer in the chat here puts, "What if there's no bacon though?" Well, Waylon, I don't know. Make your own bacon. Home farming is a new thing. I have people right down the road that have horses and chickens and all kinds of things. So yeah, go get you some four-legged bacon. And hey, you're a farmer. Waylon's a farmer. That shouldn't be a big deal for Waylon the farmer.
So
So
Waylon makes a great point. Inflation is really tough right now. It's not the easiest thing in the world to put bacon on the table. That being said, me personally, we haven't gone as many vacations. We haven't been buying nice things. We've cut back quite a bit financially. One, because we have a daughter coming, and two, because I've cut back a little bit at work so that I could spend more time with my son.
You
And
know, and thank you for saying that, because that brings to mind my own business of psychotherapy, family therapy, relationship therapy. And I've never had a patient ever come in and say, the biggest problem with my family is we didn't take enough vacations, or we didn't have enough money, or we didn't have enough bacon on the table. By the way, Right Brand Bacon is the best, and they're not a sponsor of this episode, but that's some really good bacon. I try to squeegee all the grease out of it to teach nutritional things to my son. But I think that fathers also get that mixed up. And what I do hear a lot of is dad was never there, or we didn't have a relationship. Waylon's throwing up the hashtag bacon. Yeah, Waylon, hashtags are a thing of the past, man. I get criticized all the time for the hashtags. Hashtag bacon. Hashtag Right Brand Bacon. And so the thing we need to focus on, I found, is, Elon Musk said it, unregretted user moments. And so you can apply that to your family, non-regretted moments, non-regretted user moments with your family. And here's one thing that I fall prey to, and I really didn't notice this too many years ago, that even if you're sitting and watching a TV program together, pulling out your phone and doing this, other people notice it, because it kind of pulls you out of the experience of being in communion with them for whatever pursuit that you're having there. So I know that's a simple thing, but here, wrapping up, we only have a couple more minutes to go, Dustin. What are some simple things, maybe some starting points for dads that you might recommend?
So the big one is take a moment to analyze your time. I've had some conversations with good friends who recommended this of me, and I found that I was wasting 3 to 4 hours a day. Whether it was watching Netflix, or playing video games, or mindlessly scrolling Twitter, all of these things are wasted time. And if you really do a deep dive on your time, all of us have time that we're wasting. And so I looked at that and I said, in 10 years, would I rather have that Netflix show that I know that I watched, or would I rather have spent that time present with my son? And I made the decision that I was going to cut that out. I can't tell you the last time I watched a TV show. Now, for a lot of you dads, they go, I love watching TV. That sounds like a bummer. I get it, but that was the personal calculus that I made, was that I can work X amount. I can spend X amount of time with my wife. I have a little bit of time to spend deeply focusing with my son. And for me to do that, I had to cut out some things. And do I regret them? Absolutely not. My life is better, and I'm very happy that I did it.
Man, that's such wise words. You guys, we have all the time in the world to fritter away on social media after our kids are grown, to watch Netflix shows we want to watch once our kids are grown. By the way, here's a mistake. Don't watch adult TV with young kids. That's a mistake. And I'll just leave that there. But there's a rating on these TV shows and movies for a reason. And that's just coming from a guy that does psychology all day long. So almost anything that you can do now, you can do later. And so don't waste those moments with your kid. We have about 3 quick questions for Dustin on his way out, and then a top-level affirmation or tip, Dustin, that you can leave with us. What is your own top mental struggle currently, your own top mental struggle?
Distraction. Definitely distraction. Too much going on, and I need to razor focus on a couple of really important things that matter. That's the challenge.
I put a post up on X today. You guys read it. It's top 10 teachings from mindfulness, and that would help anybody on that front. What is, where's my tips here? What would you say was something that you got the most wrong with fathering? Before you were a father, now that you are a father, what did you have the most wrong?
I thought I could do it by myself and that I didn't need the help of my brothers and my peers. We are not lone wolves. Men need brotherhood. We need help. We make mistakes. And if you don't bounce that idea off of someone else, hey, buddy, I did this with my son. Are you crazy? Don't do that. That's a terrible idea. Do this instead. All need that from our friends, our brothers, and our peers.
Hey, it takes a village to raise a father. Takes a village to raise a father. And finally, what do you find typically is the biggest point of confusion? You know, you do this podcast, have people come on. I'm sure you get all kinds of DMs and things like that. What seems to be one of the top struggles in fathering out there today?
I think a lot of us don't enjoy it as much as we'd like, and there's a lot of dad guilt about that. Fatherhood is not always joyful. Sometimes it's tough, and it's okay to feel that and recognize that. It should mostly be joyful, though. So if you're not having some fun with it, talk to somebody, get some help with it, because you have a beautiful child who's a lot like you. They share your genetics. If you can't laugh together and have some fun, go get some help, definitely, because it's normal to be a little bit sad with your kids.
It is, yeah. And I tell people, listen, one of my favorite, I've said this many times, but one of my favorite scenes in a movie is with Batman, Bruce Wayne, before he became Batman in the prison. And he meets this guy, and he says, the guy says, I'm the devil. And Bruce Wayne says, you're not the devil, you're just practice. And so our kids are going to meet the devil out there. Our kids are going to meet the devil. It's our job to prepare them to have that head-on collision with the devil and those who would act like the devil, you know. Well, on the way out, a positive note, something, kind of an affirmation to leave our dads with, and even those that love dads.
Don't miss bedtime. Bedtime is where the magic happens. When 8 o'clock hits, that's bedtime. Spend that 20 minutes. Your child's brain is so receptive to new ideas. So fill them with all of the things that matter to you. If you like to pray, do a prayer with them. If you have a daily affirmation or a mission for your family, do that with them over and over, because whatever you do at bedtime, they're going to remember that.
One of my favorite things at bedtime was we went through a big book. I think it was called The Cabinet of Hugo Cabret or something like that. It was about 3 inches thick. And we read through all that book at our old house and moved here, read through the second book in the series. One of my favorite memories ever, one of my son's favorite memories ever. Don't miss bedtime and read to your kids. Dustin, thank you so much, man. I appreciate all the work you do. I appreciate you coming on Executive Espresso. Dr. Bob Rare says, great show, thanks. Hey, Dr. Bob, thank you for being here today. And Waylon the Farmer and Jane and M, thank you guys for being here. And we'll catch you next Friday on Executive Espresso. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thanks so much, Dr. Heath. All right.